Situation in St. Petersburg right now involving the Northeast Sewage Treatment Plant facility in St. Pete that was shut down to protect it from storm surge. That has caused some complications for residents in that area, what they can and cannot do. We have Yolanda Fernandez from the city of St. Pete on the phone with us right now. Yolanda, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Yolanda, this was a real possibility. You all discussed it before. And now when we look at this, I mean, people really don't need to be draining any water. They can still drink it, though.
Yes. No, this is a very serious situation, and this is not a decision that the city made lightly. Unfortunately, in order to preserve that plant so that people can have sewage, service after the storm, they're just going to have to suffer for a couple of days, and our crews are standing by to try to do everything they can to fix it. But the fact is that the plant is shut down, and if you live north of 30th Avenue North and east of I-275 in that part of the city, in the northeast section of the city, you do not have sewage service, which means you still have potable water. Clean water will still come out of your faucets, but you can't let anything go down the drain. If you flush your toilet, the possibility is very high that sewage will come back up into your home. And then you've got a big problem. And we're trying to alert people. We waited until the very last minute to make this decision, and so at this late hour, we're trying to notify as many people as possible.
Yolanda, we know this is an inconvenience for a lot of folks here, but it's an important thing for people to know about and do and comply with. How will people know when it is safe, when you've remedied this problem?
We will be sending out a reverse 911 call. We've already done that to 80,000 people to alert them of this. We will be sending out social media, and hopefully through assistance through you guys, we can get the word out. We do believe it's going to take some time because we have to wait for that water to recede in order to send our crews back out to see if there's any saltwater intrusion or damage to the facility. And then it's a process to bring it back online. So right now we're looking at a minimum of 48 hours. We're thinking, I mean, we don't have experience with this. Our crews have never seen this. We believe the last time this may have happened was in 1985. So this is not, and it's not just affecting those folks who are in flooded areas. It's affecting people who are high and dry.
And Yolanda, apologies if you already talked about this, but this is a power issue that's knocked it offline, and we just don't know if it's from surge or wind or a combination.
No, we no, it's not a power surge. It's a situation where we're trying to avoid, because the storm surge has come up so high at the plant that we're trying to prevent it from salt water getting into those sensitive electronics. Because once salt water gets into those sensitive batteries and electronics, then that plant could go offline for who knows how long, and that we can't afford to do that.
So you all have taken it offline to
yes,
be
we made
proactive. Okay.
Yeah,
yes, made the decision to deal with a couple of days without sewage service versus a long-term problem, a long-term issue. This is not affecting the other two plants in the city. They're on higher ground. But unfortunately for that third, it's a full third of the city that we're looking at. Anywhere between 25 and 30% of the residents here are going to have to be dealing with this. And
Wow.
this is on top of some folks who are going to be seeing flood damage, because we have several neighborhoods that are impassable from floodwaters that we haven't even been able to get into to see how bad it is.
Well, let me ask you, Yolanda, do you know how many people, I know this affects a large portion of the city, do you know how many homes and businesses are impacted by this sewage situation?
We can't give you an exact number. We think it's possible around 70,000 people, maybe 25% of the population, maybe a little bit less. But it is going to affect businesses as well as schools, churches, residents, any structure that has sewage service from the city in that part of the city.
Yeah, I want to
Again,
follow.
north of 30th Avenue North, all the way to Gandy, and then east of Interstate 275 out to the bay.
Yeah, huge area, a lot of homes in there and a lot of businesses, as you mentioned here. I want to follow up on something you mentioned about other areas being inundated with water. Are you able to share what some of those areas are that you've been hearing about? I understand that crews may not have been able to get into those areas yet and assess the damage, but what neighborhoods are we talking about?
Well, pretty much that level A evacuation zone. Any of those homes along the bay side is what we're seeing. Shore Acres, Snell Isle, Venetian Isles, Coquina Key. Those are the areas that we ask people to evacuate. Those are the areas that traditionally are low-lying. Some of them have seen water in the roads, or some of them have had, home damage in the past. Those are the areas that we're seeing that have been impacted. And so it's going to be a while before that water completely recedes in order for us to be able to get our teams back in there and see what the damage is. It could be late morning. So we're asking people to be patient. We're not going to be able to allow people back into their homes until we know it's safe.
Yolanda, the areas that you have been able to get to, what are your crews seeing? What are you seeing with homeowners, roadways?
We've seen a lot of flooded roads. We've had to completely and close the bridges off to some neighborhoods like Shore Acres and Snell Isle, allowing people to leave, but not allowing people to go back in. Water so high that SUVs and high water vehicles are no longer able to get in. So we're going to be taking John boats, the fire department, fire rescue will be dealing with that in the morning. And we know there are people that are stuck in their homes and are stuck in flooded homes, but at this point it's too late for us to be able to go out and rescue them. We have to wait until conditions are safe.
Yolanda, for those folks who, and I know you've worked with the police department for some time here, for those folks who are concerned about their homes being looted or burglarized, that type of thing, people who evacuated, what kind of precautions has the city taken to assure people that there's not going to be widespread problems like that? I take it that's something you all have talked about and are attempting at least to keep that limited, right?
Yes, absolutely. We've had directed patrols. We have had a large police presence in all of those areas, and we have officers blocking off roads to access those areas. So especially now, once the water starts receding in the morning, we will have a large presence there to try to keep anything like that from happening.
So you all are basically having to wait for that sun to come up, for that daybreak before...
Well, and beyond that, it's not just going to be daybreak. We have to wait until some of those floodwaters recede before we can really get into some of those areas. And it could take some time for those waters to go back, because it's not just rainwater. We're talking, this is a storm surge. So that bay has to empty back out, and it's going to take a while. This has been a lot of water. We haven't seen water like this, 5 to 8 feet of storm surge, and it's holding true. The prediction is holding true.
Yeah.
Yolanda, and we knew that this was there's a lot of preparations that happened. Was there anything that the city was able to do differently with this amount of water for these communities?
No, the city has been working with these communities now for quite some time, and many repairs and pumps and all kinds of repairs have been made and upgrades have been made to many areas. But the fact is, there's no way that you can stop the Gulf. You can stop the bay when you've got an 8-foot storm surge. And it may not have gotten that high in some places, but 4, 5, 6 feet of storm surge still does significant damage to many of these homes.
Yolanda, we really appreciate you being with us. I know for many years you were on the anchor desk like we are right here. Did a terrific job when you were on the news side of it, and you're doing a great job with the city of St. Pete in keeping us up to date. We greatly appreciate it under really difficult circumstances, you spending time with us.
Well, thank you, and thank you for helping us to get the word out.
You bet.